The usual way that most agency owners handle assigning chatters to their OnlyFans accounts is by putting them on in shifts so that they cover a 24-hour period. The rationale behind this is so that there is always somebody on the account to greet a new subscriber who, subscribes or sends a message or something so that they don't have to wait. This is how most people do it, or at least this is the aspiration of most agencies as far as I've seen. I haven't met very many people who don't do this. I, however, don't do it. What I do is I have one chatter assigned to one account. Sometimes chatters are on two accounts if the amount of traffic is not enough to keep them busy on one. And rarely, very rarely will I assign more than one chatter to one account to be worked at the same time. And that only happens under very specific circumstances that I will touch on in this video. So what's up? Yalapapi, simphunter.com. Go read my articles. They're super awesome and amazing, if I do say so myself. And check out the rest of the links in my description for my model marketplace and the best trends for models to do on Instagram and TikTok. Okay. Why do I only put one chatter on each account? Now, needless to say, I don't have any accounts that are doing $50,000 a month. I don't even have any accounts that are doing $20,000 a month. But what I do have is a lot of accounts and a lot of chatters. And they all make between 5 and, well, I have some shitty ones, but like those are being shuffled around. I would say, let's say between 5 and, well, let's include those low balls. Let's say between 2 and, I don't know, 10,000 a month. Now, this is not the way most people do things. Most people will go, let's call it going deep as opposed to going wide. I go wide. Most people go deep, meaning they'll have a small stable of models and they will put all of their resources into generating as many subs as possible for those models, and they'll put all the chatters on there and everything will just go to that, like those 5 models or 6 models or whatever it is. That's not something that I wanted to do, and that's never really been the way that I wanted to run my agency. I always wanted to have a lot of models. I always wanted to have a big organization. There's a couple of reasons for that. I won't go into them now, but it was always just something that I wanted to do. And, I'm not hiring these extra chatters just to hire chatters, but when I do it this way, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just sharing my experience. The other way definitely works for a lot of people who make way more money than me. So take it for what it's worth. But the reason I do it is, well, I'll tell you right now. Number one, chatters don't work in shifts. Now, what does this mean? This is obvious, right? Because if, normally, like I said, people, what they do is they have them on an 8-hour blocks, I believe is how they do it. And like they have one day off per week. And like, it just allows a more normal work environment for the chatters, which is totally fine. I understand. Like it's a normal job, right? That's not like that for mine. My chatters are what I tell them is this: you can work as much as you want, as long as you're making money and the chats are being replied to. So like, I don't have assigned hours for them. I don't have assigned times where they must be around. It's just understood that they need to be on the accounts really not that I expect them to be on there all the time. I mean, they can sell for $1,000 and then bounce for the day. That's fine. I don't care. Like they're still $1,000 at the end of the day, assuming the account is, whatever. Obviously, I would like for them to continue working and do 2,000 that day if it was so easy for them to get to 1,000. But I will gladly take the 1,000 if it's one of these fucking, because I've worked with salespeople like that, where they'll come and work for 2 hours and sell more than everybody and then go home for the day. And that's like the deal they have worked out. I'm fine with that. If I have chatters like that, great. So much the better. I'll still put one person on the account. But mine don't work in shifts, okay? Mine are, the ones that I have on there now, they work all day. Like they wake up in the morning and they open the accounts and they chat until they go to bed. Yeah, maybe they go do other stuff here and there and like whatever, fine. But like they're expected to be there all the time. Like if I check the accounts and there's unanswered chats, they're going to hear about it. So no, I don't assign them shifts, but the trade-off to that is that they're going to be basically working all the time. I And I like this, right? Because it means that somebody's on the account. And also it means that like you could argue the account looks more normal. It's not normal if like 24 hours a day, there's somebody on the account. Are subs going to notice? No. So does it matter? No. I don't know why I brought it up. The second reason why I only put one chatter on each account is that my chatters work 7 days a week. So I believe, and this is something that I noticed from when I was a salesperson, the companies that I worked for, when you're commission sales, you can work as much as you want, right? Or as little as you want, as long as you are making money. However, the companies that I worked for didn't really offer us the work as little as you want. It was kind of understood that you were going to work 6 days a week. You're going to have 1 day off per week to relax and rest and do whatever. And like maybe some people were allowed to do 5 days a week. Like if you'd been doing the job for like fucking 2 years straight, 3 years straight. Okay, fine. You can do 5 days a week. But what I noticed is that when I would work, let's say 6 days a week, what would happen is that the first day when I came back, I would be like, oh, I'd be so out of it. Even if it had only been, 36 hours since my last shift, it was still hard for me to like get back into the groove. There was still like an acclimation period, even with just a 24-hour break. And like my first day, I would be like, fucking out of it and not really like in the groove. And then as the week went on, I would pick up and get more in the groove until the last day where I was just fucking like on fire. Now, there were some occasions where I had to work more than 6 days in a row. There were some occasions where I had to like work for 2 weeks, work for 3 weeks during Christmas, or, 7 days here and there. But the point is that the momentum never slowed down when I went those long periods without taking a day off. You would think that if you work for so long without a day off, you'll get burnt out and you won't have the same drive and you won't have the same, enthusiasm, and like your sales will suffer and blah, blah, blah. It's not true. Okay. It's the opposite is true. When you wake up and you do the same thing every single day, regardless if it's sales or, well, I mean, I guess you could make the case for working out. You need days off. But with sales, at least, when you do it every single day, you don't lose that momentum. You're always in that heightened state of awareness, that like constant maneuvering of how can I direct this conversation so that it will benefit me the most. And I think that's very valuable. And I expect that from my chatters. It's like, I understand I'm probably losing money, honestly, like only putting one person on an account. And they know that, right? They know that if I put another person on the account, I would make more money. So they, I believe, try extra hard. And I tell them, I have to say to one guy, I'm like, listen, bro, that account needs to do 15K this month, or I'm putting somebody else on the account. And he's like, oh, no, please don't. Because he wants all the subs for himself. And the account's doing 15K. I'm fine with that, right? Could it do 20K or 30K? Sure. But I would like 30K, of course. Maybe I'm stupid and I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. And to be fair, like if traffic gets out of control for one person, then I will put somebody else on the account. But what I don't like doing is doing it according to time. I don't think that's not good. And it's also not fair to the chatters because some times are better than others. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3, reason why I only put one chatter on each account is so they don't fight over subs. So this was something that I wasn't aware of, mainly because I have always pretty much just had one chatter on each account. And I never had more than one chatter. So it never occurred to me. And I didn't really know, like I knew the basics of chatting, but like now that I have been teaching it and have spent many hours teaching it and reviewing it and critiquing it, I have a much better idea of how it works. My style of chatting is relationship building. And it's not fair for one chatter to, spend all this time having these, let's call them non-sales conversations with a sub, building commonalities, fucking talking to them about bullshit for hours at a time. And then he logs off, another chatter logs in and sells that person fucking $500 custom. That's not fair. You know what I mean? It's not fair to the first guy. Yes, you could make the argument that like the first guy should have done it, but it's still not fair, right? Maybe some hours needed to have passed before like that happened. And to be fair, like I said, okay, fine. It is the first guy's responsibility to do that. However, when you're in the field and when you're in the shit, sometimes you just get a feeling that if you ask for it at that time, you'll ruin the moment, right? And it's not, sometimes you need to wait a little bit. The second guy, meanwhile, if he doesn't have that level of, investment in the sub, what does he lose if the guy says no anyway? He doesn't give a fuck. He's like, oh, well, I didn't fucking build a relationship with that sub anyway, so I'm just going to fucking ask him, And this can lead to problems, right? The first guy doesn't get credit for the sale. And the second guy, it'll lead to bad habits from him where he'll just start to look to poach conversations from other chatters. And unless you have the chatters splitting all of the sales on an account, which I do for one account, and I have 2 chatters working on that account, unless you have them do that and they're making a conscious effort to work together, then it's going to lead to problems. And not only is it going to lead to problems, it's going to lead to chatting that is not as good as it could be. And here's what I mean by that. If chatters know that they only have an 8-hour window to make a sale, right? And they can't build up a conversation for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days to build up to something big, to get a bigger sale or to get a very strong emotional bond happen with a sub, then they're going to limit their forethought to 8 hours in the future. And that is going to limit the overall potential, I would argue, of subs. Yes, you will still get some who are just flush with cash and don't fucking care and will drop money on everybody on every shift. But that's not the majority of whales. Even the majority of whales. And to be fair, what are we even considering a whale? If somebody spends, if you have here's what I consider a whale. A whale is a customer who has a strong emotional bond with the chatter and will buy content on a regular basis. That's what I consider a whale, right? I want the accounts to have as many of those as possible. I want the chatter to be overloaded with conversations only from whales and not even have any time to go and find new people. Okay. Number 4. I can reward chatters who do well. Now, obviously you can reward, okay, so I'm going to combine 4 and 5. Actually, no, I'm not. Just kidding. I can reward chatters who are good. It really just makes it easier to reward and punish, which is a major part of management. I mean, of course, there's many ways to manage people. My style of management is, how do I put this? Targeted feedback, frequently, and direct communication. Let's just put it that way. So that's the best way to put it. Okay, fine. I will put these last 2 together. The 5th one is easier to monitor them. So here's what I mean. If I know that Steve, the chatter, is on Jennifer's account, right? I know that if I want to review Steve's performance, let's say the account has taken a massive shit lately and is not earning any money. I know that I can look at that account and I can review all the chats, and all the chats are Steve's. And I can say, this is a review for Steve. Steve, you need to fucking watch this video right now and carve every word I say into your arm with a knife because you can't forget it. Otherwise, go fucking, you're not working for me. I don't give a fuck. You're going to have to go do something else. And it's much easier for me to pass a critique onto a chatter if I know that the account is all theirs. Now, could I look up who sent this message to this person and only review those? You can, but it gets messy. And if an account is doing badly, then, and there's more than one chatter on it, how do you know who's really at fault, right? What this is just going to lead to is a very aggressive style of chatting and what I believe to be an over-reliance on traffic. Now, again, like I said, there's a lot of people who are doing it, making fucking tons of money, way more money than me. So should you listen to me? I don't know. Maybe. I'm just telling you what I do now that works for me. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I would appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. If you just, for some reason, watch all my videos and have not subscribed, click the subscribe button, bro. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Also, click the like button. Leave me a comment. It helps. It really does. And I will see you in the next one.